Welcome to Behind the Badge. Today, we are thrilled to feature Gurmit Kaur MBE, Special Inspector and Community Cohesion Coordinator, who brings an impressive 36 years of experience with Nottinghamshire Police. Gurmit has dedicated her career to enhancing community relations and fostering trust between the police and the diverse communities they serve. In this episode, she'll share her journey, the evolution of community engagement over the years, and the pivotal role she plays in promoting cohesion. Join us for an inspiring conversation with one of Nottinghamshire Police's most seasoned and committed officers. Welcome to the show, Gurmit. Can you tell us about joining Nottinghamshire Police and your journey, and what made you want to join Nottinghamshire Police in the first place?
Okay, I'll start off what made me join Nottinghamshire Police. It was a result of going to my girls' comprehensive school, at the time known as Manning, and at the time we had a head teacher who believed in girls exploring careers rather than the normal careers for where females would go into. And it was our careers day in my third year, which is known as year 9, at the school hall. We had various careers stalls, and that's where it drew my attention, with two male officers, encouraging females to look at a path as police officers, because those days there were very little of female representation, and that's where my interest and desire came from the age of 13 to thinking I would like to go and work for the police and help to make that difference and engage with the community, deal with criminals, deal with victims, and build that relationship.
So, as I've known you earlier, I wanted to ask you, what was your age when you started?
Oh, right.
Because you had told me earlier in one of the
yes,
interviews that you were very young when you started.
I applied when I was 18 and a half, because I finished college, and unfortunately I wasn't successful in my application, so I got some feedback, but we had like a year break that when we could reapply. So I reapplied, and when I went through all the process, because it's not just the application, but there's the vetting, the fitness, we had group assessments, and as a result, when I got through all that, the date of my appointment for joining Nottinghamshire Police was on my 20th birthday.
Wow, you were just 20 when you joined. And since then till today, you are working for Nottinghamshire Police. And your role at present is Special Inspector and Community Cohesion Coordinator. So, Gurmit, what does your normal day look like? What does it entail?
Okay, my normal police staff role, which is the Community Cohesion Coordinator role, that primarily is about reaching out to communities that have got no trust or confidence with the policing, or we've not yet reached out to, because I'm a great believer that as a police service we need to be reaching and listening to all diverse sections of the community, and unfortunately due to past history those relationships have been broken, and that mistrust with the police. So one of my areas of work is to try and build that trust, work with my colleagues from neighbourhood policing and other departments to see what we can do to better the relationship. I also help with any critical incidents in regards to if there's any stabbings, murders or protests, anything that's going to have a tensions or community tensions issues. I will obviously give critical advice to the senior officers, which is known like the command meeting, gold meeting. So I'm usually used as an advisory there as well. I also deliver training around effective policing. With in total, I've got 36 years in policing, because I did 30 years as a regular and then 6 years as my special inspector. So what I'm trying to do is help the newcomers to learn around relationships, how to deal with incidents with respect and empathy. And we usually have a community dialogue where members of the community can speak to officers and give them some advice and tips. So there's a lot of work that I do as a police staff. So that's my daily role I do. as paid, though I also have a special inspector, which is a voluntary role as well, and that is really a voluntary role where we're very similar to what I do, but again reaching out to communities, but encouraging people to come and join as specials, which in case they have like full-time jobs and they can still put something back, or if people want to explore whether they want to become a police officer but have a bit of a test period by doing it voluntary, they can get a real insight of what that really looks like before they join.
Okay, so you have a lot on your plate. Having said that, you had already worked 30 years with Nottinghamshire Police. What motivated you to rejoin?
Yes, a lot of people after 30 years will say thank you very much. I was still young. I was still had that, and I still have. I have that design energy that I still think we need to continue. I've built a lot of relationships and trust over the years with various communities, and I still think I've got something to offer with Nottinghamshire Police and the community, and that was the desire for me to come back as a special as well as a police staff.
Right. So I'm taking this discussion a little backwards. During your introduction, I did mention that you are the first Asian female police officer with Nottinghamshire Police. Now, what does, in your eyes, inclusivity look like in Nottinghamshire Police? And is there anything that Nottinghamshire Police can improve on?
Okay. On reflection, I know I said to you previously, I'm the first Asian female officer of rank, of promotion. I was the first to get promoted as an Asian female for the rank of a sergeant and also an inspector. I do believe I probably was the second Asian female officer to join Nottinghamshire Police. So a little bit of a history behind that. So that in itself, I've made history just by being in the organisation, passing my exams and being a team leader and managing staff. What does inclusivity look like? When I joined, very little visible representation. As I said to you, being the only second Asian female officer, there were less than probably a handful of any visible representation, lesser from a female perspective as well. Over the years, there's been a lot of proactive work being done to try and engage with diverse communities, to try and encourage them to explore a career in policing. Not necessarily have to be a police officer, but it's a family of policing. You could be in the control room, or it could be a PCSO, or it could be working in the offices in finance or in human resources. So it's a very vast area of policing that we would want to encourage, because we didn't have that representation back in the 1980s. And over the years, we've slowly seen an increase. So I'm glad to say there are a lot more Asian female officers of rank as well, but we could still do with more. Same with our male officers, and I probably would say from a black community perspective, we could still do a lot more as well. So there is a continuation, I would say, right, to represent our community that we serve.
So I'll draw it from your answer. So what has changed since you joined, and where do you see policing going? Okay,
I'll tell you where it's changed. When I joined, we were known as WPCs, Women Police Constables. We were told to wear skirts during days and afternoons, and only allowed to wear trousers on our night shift. And if we're doing some public order duties, we had a handbag. And I wish I brought it with me. So it was just a little truncheon. We were usually given jobs, like if there was a child missing, they made a massive assumption. I was still single, no children. I was asked to go and take care of a child, but making those assumptions, I knew how to look after a child. Yet we had male officers who were fathers, who could probably be more suitable to look after that child who's gone, who we found or gone missing, and we're trying to wait for the parent to come back. So yeah, there was a lot of stereotyping, roles in the early days. So over the years we've sort of challenged, we've moved away from being called a WPC under the Sex Discrimination Act. We're now on equal par. So we are now known as police officers, not policemen, not policewomen, police officers. We have the same equipment and we can wear trousers and rather than being told only to wear skirts. So things have evolved in that sense as well, and we've seen a massive increase of female representation in gender point of view, but from a visible representation better than it was, but could still do with more increase.
So I would say you're seeing a positive change in policing, but we are also seeing similar change in the community.
Yes.
Now, from your perspective, what do you need the communities to do or to continue this positive trajectory?
It's like a plea. I would want our community to hear the various options within policing of a choice of a good employment, whether that be a police officer or police staff, whether it be a volunteer, whether it be a cadet for a child, whether it be a special or a uniform role and voluntary. So there's amples of different ways and routes to represent our community within the organisation. So that is a plea for our community. Don't dismiss it, because the old days, or we want our child to go into a doctor or a teacher or a nurse. Those opportunities, careers are fantastic as well. But there's a career path as well internally within the organisation, and it'd be good if we have people going through that progression route. So the plea is for our community to come, explore, ask questions. We have a fantastic network in the organisation. We have a Black Police Association, we have an Asian Muslim association, we have the Sikh Police Association. So we are culturally trying to be inclusive as well, and celebrate those significant festivals and religious events internally to educate those who are not from that diverse community.
Right. Yeah. So that's a lot, and the community must understand this. There's a lot of scope. Much has changed. So policing can be a very rewarding job for anyone, be it a man or a woman, a young lad or a young lady. Anyone can aspire, can dream, and can be a part of this beautiful service. Wonderful. So, Gurmeet, my next question to you again relates back to your career and your experience. So, in your time as an officer, you have reached the position of inspector. Can you talk about your time as a woman of colour in a senior management position within this place?
Okay, yes, lonely place to be in those days. As I said, I was the first Asian female officer that reached the rank of a sergeant. It was a massive learning curve. Though I'm very energetic, but when you are around people, you sort of observe and you become a bit closed, and you're thinking, I want to address issues, but sometimes my colleagues will probably outspoken more than me. So it took me some time and building my confidence in management position to become myself and realise the direction I want the policing to be taken. So I've had challenges during my journey of management. It even came to a position that when I actually, for my own values, when I was thinking what was best for my neighbour policing area, which it was just down the road at Rafa Road, when we were restructuring and I moved staff around, and when I was asked to reverse my decision, bear in mind my other colleagues had already moved staff, I was asked to reverse my decision, and no strong rationale behind that, and I made a stance to say I've done it in consultation with the local councillor, who unfortunately has passed away, Councillor Abraham, bless him, and the local neighbourhood development officer. So my consultation with moving staff from the meet and the needs of the community was done in consultation. My peers, whether they did that consultation or not, I don't know, but that question to reverse the decision was only based towards me. So I dug my heels and I basically said, I have done it for these reasons, and if you feel that you still wish to reverse my decision, I will then step aside and no longer work in that role. Because when you believe in something, you will have to challenge it. And I remember speaking to the chief superintendent, and I was emotional because, you know, it was like one rule for me and not the rules for the others. And I went, that on that occasion, no, that's by principle, it's by values, it's about meeting the needs of the community. So yeah, I have had those challenges, but equally, needless to say, they left me and my changes stayed. But I have actually had some positives during my management in policing, in particular around neighbourhood policing. And I share this with you because I'm quite proud of this. When I became the neighbourhood policing inspector for Radford Road, crime was high, engagement with our communities was low. And year by year, with the briefing I gave to the neighbourhood policing team, working closely with our partners, because I grew up in the area, it was also an extra passion for me to say there's nothing wrong with our area. It's about communication, about transparency, about problem solving. And year on year, I was able to improve our relationship with our community, and we were problem solving the crimes in the area. And you could see from high crime to low engagement, year on year. It never got like that, but it was like that. So that was one of my successes. And as a result, when I went to America on a holiday, I actually involved in, it's another network, it's called International Police Association. And I had a couple of days out at St. Louis Police Department. And I was just explaining to a gentleman who was trying to get a bid in a very derelict area, which they've had a shooting and tensions were high in this particular community. And I actually explained to him what I did to change the policing area and our engagement. Unknown to me, he was actually making notes in his head, and that the following day the sergeant who took me out asked me if I was able to just visit him again so I could explain and draw some of the basics I was doing, like a two-prong approach, engagement, how to reduce crime. And he actually put that towards his training, his American officers, and towards the bid. And I got an email back to say that his new officers understood the principle of neighbourhood policing, and equally they got the secured funding. So that in itself is a success. So those happy moments have really made it meaningful. Working in schools was another success. When you've got victimisation with young people, I'm a great believer. Let's not criminalise young people unless we have to, but diversion prevention is very key. So I worked very closely with the inner city school, and we reduced victimisation and perpetrators of young people in that particular school. So that again, I thought, you know, this is where the changes happen. Policing to be seen is not just about enforcement, and I think we've gone for a decade due to resources, demands, where members of the community don't see the normal beat officer, the interaction they should have in between. That's what we're trying to bring back. The key purpose of policing is about prevention and detection. It's about reassurance. It's about knowing your community. We can't police without intelligence. And how do you get intelligence? You don't get it by behind a desk, you get it by talking to the community. So I do it on and off duty, so that's just my nature. So yeah, so there have been some successes in my my journey of management, as well as some challenges.
They are quite big and remarkable, and they really give the community the opportunity to actually extend their hand of help as well. So because we are talking about community, I'll quickly come back to this, you were saying while answering about your role, you said you're also a community cohesion coordinator and the kind of involvement that you're wanting the community to do. So suppose somebody is not able to get into a full-time job in policing, what are the options? What are the other options they can have?
Okay. Absolutely. Being a police officer will require initially to begin to be full-time. Later on, once they've got established, there are opportunities to become part-time. But like a pro rata on the shift patterns or different departments, so there is options there. But if someone still thinks, well, I can't give a full-time, there are roles within police staff that are sometimes a part-time, so there's opportunity there as well, like the control and contact management. There's opportunity to become a volunteer as a civilian, so that could be helping someone in neighbourhood police or in human resources if you've got a particular skill set. I've got a couple of volunteers that help me with engagement and go out and engage with the community. You've got opportunities to become a special constable part-time. Only need 16 hours a month, and that could be either done 4 hours a week or 2 8-hours. Technically speaking, majority of our special constables do a lot more than 16 hours a month, but that's the minimum requirement. And becoming a special constable, that you have all the police powers as well. You can choose when to do your day shifts. And you get all the training as well, and you get the free uniform as well, and the equipment. So there are various options if you wish to say, I don't want to do it full-time, but I want to look at part-time opportunities, whether that's paid or not paid.
You say that anyone can choose to be a special inspector or special
constable to begin with, yeah.
Exactly. So is it only after retirement that they normally join in this role, or do people of any age? Okay,
I'm one of very few who would do as the other way around. I've become retired and I've come back as a special inspector.
Right.
That's not normal. Okay. Usually what happens is people from if someone's got a career in engineering or a teacher and still got some time to give back to the community, they are, like we say, careers, they're already established in their careers, they come as special constables, so that's your starting, and you get all that training. So that is your starting base, and then you can get promoted internally for a special sergeant, special inspector, special chief inspector. The highest rank is our superintendent. So there is a career path internally as well, as specials as well. So if people explore that, it's whether you can provide that time, or just, as I said to you earlier on, an opportunity to have an insight whether before they become a regular police officer or choose to go through that path. That's a great opportunity to take as well.
So this is all very inspiring. Anybody from any field can just give a few hours of their time and be a part of Nottinghamshire Police. That is wonderful, but I would also like to know more about the opportunities that young people can get, and especially talking about that, what aspect of policing in any role do you think would appeal to young people, and how can they make a difference?
Okay. The one I'm thinking of as young people, the minimum age to join as an employee for Nottingham, whether it's a police staff or police officer, is 18. So we've what is known as PCDA, that's Police Constable Degree Apprenticeship. That is around someone who's done their A-levels, won a degree, but also work as a police officer. So by working as a police officer, studying with, I believe it's for Derby University, you are getting your degree paid for by the organisation whilst you are getting paid as an employee and studying. So I would encourage anyone who's got an aspiration to become a police officer at such a young age, look at that particular route. There are other apprenticeship routes as well for other areas of department if it doesn't want to be a regular police officer, that our apprentice coordinator can give more details with. So I would recommend they contact us through our recruitment portal, and we can explore which other apprenticeships that may suit them, depending on what they their interest is. There is also cadets, voluntary, so it's like a youth club because it's term time, only for a couple of hours, where they will explore the different areas of policing and build their own confidence, team building, communication skill. So for young people, that's a great opportunity. We have a youth outreach worker and a couple of other member staff in that particular team. They do events that young people can go and explore and talk to and learn more about the different areas of, not just with policing, but other areas that they work in partnership with. They work very closely with fire service, with the army as well, and with schools. So there are loads of opportunities for our young people. And if you think about it over the years, historically, we always say this mistrust with young people, the way the police treat our young people. And the beauty of the work I want to do and the work that our youth outreach workers do and our cadets is dispelling that, is getting the confidence our young people and our police, of the work that I do and the training do, to gel together, because we all want young people.
Yes,
I'm still young
in
heart as well, and I just think, you know, the young people should be treated with the same decency and respect as they would towards an adult.
Definitely, definitely. But taking this discussion again to just the opposite pole, I want to know a little more about retirement and the perks that being a retired officer in Nottinghamshire Police can give you.
Okay. Retired and come back, or just retired and never come back?
Well, retired, both ways.
Okay, retired and not come back. If I chose not to come back, our pension is one of the best. I was under an old pension of 30 years. I think our new officer going to work like 35 years now. So there's a pension, there's a lump sum. There's we have like it's not necessarily a retirement perk, but even as a serving police staff, police officers, there's emergency services blue light discount card. So there's no real perks as retirement if you don't come back, other than other employees, if they choose to work elsewhere. Our skill sets is vast. We've got interview skills, we're very patient, we've got team building, problem solving, patient. So there's lots of employees out there, especially like post office investigators, insurance companies. They may seek that from a police officer who's got that knowledge and experience. Coming back as a retiree, I don't like saying that, but within the organisation, I'm bringing wealth of experience, of my knowledge, my experience, my advice, my networks, my contacts, my community being able to still continue to contact me when they have an issue because somebody's not got back to them from an incident, or they've had an issue with the way they were treated. Yes, we have a complaints department, and I would encourage them to call complaints department. Sometimes they just want to air it out and look at options. That I'm still their conduit and a point of contact as well. And that's quite rewarding in the sense that they've still got trust with me. And then I look at problem solving, what can we do? And some of these individuals who've actually had problems with police officers, they come on my community dialogue meetings in the where they talk to new member staff and frontline officers about experiences and trying to sow that seed to officers. Let's not get hasty, yeah? Let's not use inappropriate language. There are ways to remain calm and deal with someone. So there is this reward coming back that I can sort of link with the community and the police of that wealth of experience I've got.
Yes, you have got so much of experience. So want you to tell young people how can they prepare if they're wanting to become a special constable or an officer. How should they prepare themselves?
What I would say, if you are really seeking, I do have to go into secondary schools and explain about my journey. As I said, start at the age of 13, which is quite pivotal. I started collecting, social media wasn't in then. I collected any hard copies. I looked at what they're looking at. They say, are you a character of good personality, communication skills, can you work in a team, can you take pressure, start to think about, do those skill sets or those experiences fit your profile? If not, what can you do to try and improve that? Because I was a team player because I played in netball, so we had to share and look at and coordinate. My communication skills grew because I was never a public speaker, so I had to sort of learn how to speak in a public forum. So as a young person, I think what they need to do is get a mentor. Speak to the teacher, the skill teacher. Teacher can link up. We have someone in our recruitment team. I don't know if you're having him on, but our positive action coordinator. We have they can get advice. There are officers who go into schools that will explain and become their mentors. So don't just leave this massive gap, but build your momentum. There's lots of things on the YouTube now, on the internet, to show what you need to do to prepare to become a good police officer for your application as well. Fitness, I forgot fitness. Make sure you're fit. Because I hated running. I was a bat and ball person, but running, but it's a bleep test as well, which they can keep doing and practicing. So it makes it easier for them.
Wonderful. So they have to develop as their personality as a complete person before they can get into these kind of roles. You need to.
I would say you can grow. I was 20. I would say I was fairly naive, but because if you've got that determination and dedication and willingness, you're prepared to learn on your mistakes. And I evolved and I grew into the organisation. So even if you are 18 and you're still thinking, well, I'm not sure I've got the confidence, but if you have the willingness and you've got time to practice, but you can reflect. If you are I say it's like you have to reflect on your learning. If you're prepared to learn and move forward, you can grow and show that in interview. And that's what they're looking at. So as I say, as a PCDA, an 18-year-old may not be exposed as a 25-year-old who's been in work environment, but they will be looking for potential strengths that they could go into. That's what we'll be looking for as well.
It's nothing different from getting into unis where they are looking for your strengths, wanting you to identify your weaknesses and work on them. So this is no different. And one should not imagine that getting into police would mean a lot more of physical work and less of mental. It is there's a balance of both, so you have to work on both of it.
Absolutely.
So that's very wonderful. As we are towards the finish line of this interview, because I love talking to you all the time, you gave us a wealth of information and you bring your personal experiences. That's the best part of it. So could you share any stories from your career or from stories of personal growth and achievement as since your time in Nottinghamshire Police?
As I said, as a 20-year-old, I was very naive. They doubted that I would make probation. They were questioning whether I'll go, because you have a 2 years probation period, and within those 2 years the organisation can say, no, we don't think you're going to be a competent police officer, and they'll explain why, and then they can basically say cheerio to you. So my personal growth was really about how to make the connection of policing, the law, applying it, and the penny didn't drop till I had 20 months into the organisation, because I was self-doubting myself and thinking maybe I'm not cut out to be a police officer. But I remember a particular time where I actually got the thumbs up from my colleagues, and it was a time we actually had two families falling out in Meadows, which is where one of the stations I was posted, and a young person was getting in the way of an inspector who was detaining another young person because two families had the fallout, and I grabbed hold of this young person and I arrested him for obstructing a police officer, grabbed hold of his wrist to say, right, you're under arrest, and gave him the caution, and he flicked his wrist and he legged it. And I'm stood there and I'm like going, what do I do now, because he's gone. Now a crowd was gathering at the time and I'm like going, right, okay, so he's gone, but then foolishly he reappears in the crowd. Am I going to let go and ignore him? So I went straight for him, pulled him out of the crowd, and literally, thankfully, he was the same strength as me, and I was just literally holding on to him on the floor, saying, you're not going anywhere. And he's saying, get off me. And the last thing I knew was some of my colleagues pulling him off, and then basically feeling a lot more that they've got him, I've got him, and he's not going anywhere. Went back to the station and people said, yeah, she can look after herself, and she looked out for the team. That was my changing point of being accepted. And the growth, and then I grew and I grew. And then I went in different environments in policing, and my youth issues role, going into schools, I grew there. My sergeants, my line managers bleeding, they allowed me to explore innovative approaches to policing. So that's some of the, one of my specific stories, because I've got 36 years of different stories to give you. So they're the specific, and I've told you about my neighbourhood policing. That in itself is the growth to knowing communities do care, and we care as a policing, and it's having that conversation and being realistic and honest with them. And, our own community members, and I'm saying to a person, this is my community. Okay, what you do affects me as well. And I'm talking to him like a mother. Most of it helped because they changed their ways. A few of them didn't. And unfortunately, those few who didn't end up having gone through the criminal justice system. So yes, and internally as well, I've been a mentor for my colleagues, and seeing them grow and moving around, moving from one area or side move, it's just nice. I call myself like the mother figure.
You sure are.
Yeah,
you sure are. Your stories are very inspiring, and the way you share your experiences, I can see that you have lived it, and you want people to actually, whoever is listening or seeing you, to actually feel what it was like. The story that you just told us, a piece of experience from your own life, from a very young Asian girl's life, I would say. That to have the courage to go out and do that while you still were in self-doubt, that was the turning point. And I think people can see through it, can see how you stood your ground, and you just
but it's
made
also,
it clear that you had the strength.
And it's also our culture, our religion. It's about that respect at the same time. I was growing up in an environment where we got married at early 18s to early 20, 21, 23. Okay, that was sort of the earlier the better in that period. So there was a challenge of trying to balance that, because I didn't want to disrespect my parents' wishes. At the same time, I wanted to pursue a career. So there are ways you can do it. So there have been personal challenges for our family members to see this as a chosen career. As I said, second police officer, first to get promoted, wasn't a norm. Conversations now, by me being here, nobody flicker. They know that's an opportunity. It's open another channel for our Asian women to explore and take advantage. So. Yeah, there have been some challenges, and I'm quite humble in the sense, when you said MBA, I'm humble that it's been recognised, because it is something that you don't expect, and then the following year to be given an honorarium doctorate for public administration, which was just so heartfelt in. So, but that's not what I go out looking for. That just happened. But it's nice that I've been recognised, because that's not what I joined for. I joined just to help. So yeah.
You joined to give to the community,
Yeah,
and community give back to
Yeah.
you. So Gurmeet, in your role as a community cohesion coordinator, what do you do specifically to increase visible representation in Nottinghamshire Police?
My role, as I said, was all around trust and confidence in communities we don't have good relationships with, or we're not yet reached out. To help with, by default, I actually go out to various venues with our recruitment team, or direct them or advise them where to go, and that could be gurdwaras, masjids, it could be actually community centres where the visible representations are. Over those years, I've actually built strong key contacts from the religious premises, and we can actually go and do some positive action events at those venues. We've got the cultural festival event that's happening on the Forest Rec, which probably, because it's going to be out of date, so you're going to cut that out. There will be events that are happening on the Forest Recreation for the black community or for the Muslim community, where the footfall is really high. That's the time for policing to show our presence and encourage recruitment. We use social media to get the information out. We have what calls the key contacts database that I will share out to people to let them know that we've got a recruitment drive around PCDAs or regular officers or contact management. So recruitment is very key in reaching out to the right place at the right time. On the best win is usually where there's a high volume of footfall, and there's usually at religious venues, at the Hindu temples for Diwali, Vaisakhi for the Gurdwaras, and you will see us walking at processions as well, to show our community that we're not separate, we're part of the community. So that's really helped us to help and sow that seed, and as a result people will leave their details with us, so our recruitment team can then do a follow-up, or they will contact me and ask me further questions, and if I don't know, I'll pass it back to the recruitment team. So there's that, to me, it is a quick opportunity, but it has to continue. You can't just do it one-off. Relationships with our community is to see you regularly, and then that way they will talk and say, well, I'll consider this to my child. They don't know what they're doing. Let me go back home and speak to them. That has worked, because people will explore that. Because everybody reaches their career path or chosen career at different levels. I was fortunate because I knew I wanted to do that at the age of 13. But for some people, they're still not sure. So by giving this another opportunity, because policing historically has not been seen an acceptable career. As I said to you earlier, it's about being a doctor or being a nurse or a teacher. Well, why not? It's serving a community, it's rewarding, it's progression, it's representing your community, because if you want to make a change, you make the change one way, is from inside, and then that helps to the outside community to see that we do look like the community we serve. And as I said, we have networks that we cater for to keep our culture, our learning for those people who are not from that faith or culture or ethnicity. So that's a great way of reaching out to the community, and that's part of my role, even though I don't do it as a primary role, but I do it through my cohesion role, because every time I see mistrust or a conversation, I then say to them, well, actually, would your community consider a job within the police? It doesn't have to be a police officer, because we haven't got a representation of someone from the Somali community or the Eritrean community, or we have got someone from a particular section of the Bangladeshi community. So why not? Because wouldn't that be nice? Then you can go back to your Bangladeshi community or your Eritrean community, Somali community, and say, I'm within the organisation. I can speak on your behalf, and I can assure you the organisation is truly trying to make a change and are reflecting in our policies, our procedures, in our practices, okay, and that will hopefully reinforce that trust and confidence that I'm primarily aimed to improve.
Wonderful. We see all the positives and how you approach the community. But let's quickly talk about a few challenges. What are the main challenges that a young person, a young officer or staff in Nottinghamshire Police can face?
Yeah.
And what is Nottinghamshire Police doing to support them in that case?
I spoke about myself being at 20 joining, and the challenges. I had a lot of my colleagues a lot older, very quiet, introvert in the sense. So the challenges of someone who is young and joins might feel intimidated by the older or officers with more experience, or even by age. I'm hoping that they will start to build their confidence, and so that they are an equal part to them. You might be new in service and young in age, but you have the same powers, same responsibility as someone with 25 years in. And I always say in my training, someone with 25 years in may be slightly outdated with some of their law and knowledge, whereas you and young in service will have the new law and knowledge. So don't be afraid to say what you've learned and educate the older ones, because sometimes they can be overbearing to say, no, we do it this way, or this is what the law says, when actually the law might be a bit outdated. A story I do share in my training, which I won't share here, but that's about them having the strength to speak out. And if they can't speak out directly, if they've felt they were undermined, or there's been a practice that we're not happy with, then they need to approach their line manager or the networks, because we have what is called call it out process, because we know in every organisation there will be some individuals who may not be doing something ethically correct, and we need to address those. So for a younger officer who may feel they have some challenges, I want them to feel confident that they have a support network and go and speak out, rather than wait and let that fester and then them leaving rather than addressing the issues.
Okay. And can you think of any other challenges that they may face?
Physical, like me. If you're not into your physical exercise, that has to be every year. Whilst you're a police officer, your physical exercise remains throughout your duration as a career. So you need to continue with that. If you have dyslexia, we have equipment, software to meet the needs of someone who's got neurodivergent needs. We have prayer, what is called a multi-faith room. So if you need to do prayers, we allow you to do that. Obviously, if you're in the middle of a scene, then there's going to be, unfortunately, we won't be able to do that unless we can get you released. But if it's an office area, that we've accommodated people's faith. A challenge that people may feel is, like me, the law's not sinking in and applying. My advice would be persevere and take lots of notes, and the penny will start to drop, and when it drops you will enjoy it. As I said, it was 20 months before I actually saw a change in understanding and gripping policing, but then I grew. It wasn't totally that was it. It was a continuation of growth. So for young officers or young police staff that come in, not to be afraid to ask and say, I'm not clear what you're saying or what to do here, rather than just do something and do it wrong.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful piece of advice from you. As it is, I must say we are at the end of the time for this interview, and it has been a very rewarding, informative interview, and you have shared loads of experiences, especially from your life and your career. and we can see that working with Nottinghamshire Police can be extremely rewarding, and you get the chance to give back to the community. But as community, we also hold our responsibilities. But the best part is to have that beautiful connection with the service, with Nottinghamshire Police and the community, and much is being done from the organization's point of view to, you know, make it more open, yes, this career opportunity, as you have always mentioned through this interview, that there are multiple different kinds of roles. People just have to look up and find out how to engage, how to be a part of it. Thank you.
That brings us to the end of today's episode of Behind the Badge. A heartfelt thank you to Gurmit Kaur for sharing her incredible 36-year journey and the impactful work she has done in community engagement. If today's discussion has inspired you to explore a career with Nottinghamshire Police, be sure to scan the QR code on screen to express your interest. For additional information, visit nottinghamshire.police.uk or email careers@nots.police.uk. Don't miss our next episode of Behind the Badge. Until then, I'm Anu, wishing you safety and success.